This is Pat Soundbites Unplugged, the podcast where all the artists go to tell it as it is. Careers, music, tours, and more. And here's your host, the man that refuses to eat squid, Pat Calamari.
Pat Calamari here, host of Pat Soundbites Unplugged. Thanks for coming along for the ride. And yes, no, I do not eat squid or any seafood for that matter. But if you do, it's all good. No problem at all. Hey, hopefully you have subscribed to my Soundbites Unplugged podcast, which could be found on Spotify, iHeart, Pandora, Apple, iTunes, all of that. And if you share it on your socials, well, that's even better. I much appreciate that. Follow me on Pat Soundbites IGTV for all my Zoom chats and YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. All is good. Hey, well, I continue the rock and roll with great rock icons, legends, and today is no different. I have one half of the most dynamic, successful duo in music history. I'm talking Mr. John Oates, and I'm talking, of course, Hall Oates. But John's got his solo career and got his own little band, and he's living down in Nashville. And he's got an album coming out, John Oates and the Good Road Band live in Nashville. And from a few tracks that I've heard, it's a killer, great stuff. I support John. I'm glad he's putting out new music, and all is good. It was a great conversation. Nothing long and fancy, but I enjoyed every minute of it. I support this guy. If you follow him on social media, you'll understand what a cool guy he is. He's always putting out videos, whether he is cooking a little dinner or baking, or his love for cars, his love for gardening. Just a super guy. A lot of fun. And he shared that Hall and Oates were working on a new album before this whole pandemic hit. So, it'd be interesting to see that pop back up. I know I read or saw an article, or actually an interview on YouTube, that Daryl kind of was not really looking to do that. But John says they are, so let's see what that sounds like. That'd be pretty cool. And Hall and Oates dates are scheduled for 2021. They were right now to be on tour, speaking like right now, but it's all been rescheduled a year from now, so can't wait for that. Okay, enough of me. Time for some John Oates on Pat Soundbites Unplugged. As always, live, love, and laugh a lot, because life is way too short. Enjoy.
Hey everybody out there, this is John Oates, and you are listening to Pat's Soundbites Unplugged.
WBXO in conjunction with Pat Soundbites Unplugged podcast. Such an honor to welcome this amazing singer, songwriter, and one half of the most dynamic, successfully dual in music history. And I'm talking Mr. John Oates of Hall Oates. And John's has his solo career. That is correct. And John's latest release was Arkansas, of which I love, and he's got a new album coming out. So John, let's jump right into it. Tell me about this new live album.
Well, this live album that's coming out September 18th is really based on the Arkansas album, but it's got a lot of other songs on it as well. It's really it's the same band, exact same personnel that recorded the Arkansas record, and we were on tour for about 2 years, playing lots of shows, and the band just kept getting better and better. We kept adding songs. So this is really the culmination of 2 years of touring, and luckily we got it in right before the world shut down. We did this in January. So so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, for the tracks that I heard, I mean, I'm like, wow, and the band is totally incredible. And I want to say, John, preparing myself to have this opportunity to chat with you, and I never realized it, but, you know, you're born in the late 40s, growing up in the 50s, you really had, and anybody growing up in the 50s, really had a front row seat of the birth of what we all term as rock and roll. I mean, you got to see swing, Chuck Berry, the Delta Blues, the British Invasion, folk, and all of it. And, you know, is that where, I mean, when you ask somebody what your influences are, you really cover them all, especially in this album, and a little bit of Arkansas and all of that. So, am I right with that in a way?
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, you know, I'm old enough to actually remember music before rock and roll. You know, I know it makes me old, but hey, I'm proud of it. So, you know, being musically inclined, when the early 50s started and rock and roll actually began to be played on the radio, I was pretty aware, you know, of what was happening, you know. I mean, I was a young kid, but still, I knew that something different had occurred and something new was happening. And, of course, I jumped in. You know, I was a big fan of the early rock and roll, but growing up as a really little kid, I heard big band music and swing. That's what my parents were listening to, you know, in the car radio and things like that. That's what they were playing on the record player at home. So, so I have this kind of, I think I have a broader view of American popular music, you know. To me, it doesn't just start with rock and roll.
Absolutely. It's funny, you know, I got my mom's, I was born in the early 60s, and when my mom passed, I ended up getting all her albums. Of course, I'm a music guy, and it's all big band, Glenn Miller and all that stuff. And the more I got into music, and I'm a classic rock guy, and to hang out with guys like Billy Gibbons and learning from Billy and Warren Haynes and those guys, it really opened my eyes to blues more and more. And then I went down and spent time in New Orleans and in Chicago, and then I really got a really love of the whole blues thing and really have an understanding of the whole rock and roll theme. You guys recorded this. You guys did the old school recording, everybody in the studio, compared to today's world of, you know, based on where folks are at, sending WAV files back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, you know, well, the Arkansas album was totally recorded as live as you can record in a studio. Everybody in the room, everybody playing. There's hardly any overdubs on that. You know, no fixes, except maybe, you know, I sang my vocal maybe a few times after the track was cut. But essentially, you know, we played in the most old school manner you could possibly play. And of course, this new album is live. I mean, it literally is live. We went to a place called the Station Inn, which is a really cool, intimate venue in Nashville. And it's a place that really I began to play with these guys in the Good Road Band. That's the first kind of place that we started playing together, informally, that, you know, became this band. So in a sense, it's kind of a full circle thing.
Is that what kind of gravitated you, John, to move down to a place like Nashville? I know you've been down there for probably a decade or so, to really understand and try to get into more of the roots in Americana and be able to do your creativity and expand on that level?
Yeah, well, you know, I started going to Nashville in the late 90s. Daryl and I weren't touring very much, and I still, you know, I had an opportunity to try to write some songs. I started meeting people, making friends, and then in the early 2000s, I began to go there more frequently, and then I started recording my second solo album, 1,000 Miles of Life, and then another one, Mississippi Mile, in 2010. And I really began to make friends in the Americana community and meet these musicians who, a lot of them had the same influences that I had as a kid, because, you know, this music that I'm making now is much more related to the type of music that I was doing before I met Daryl Hall. And so, you know, in a sense, this opportunity, this living in Nashville and being part of the Americana community enabled me to go back in time and kind of tap into my original, you know, influences.
Right, like rekindle a flame that you grew up with. I mean, I got down to Nashville first time in '85, and it was, Country Music USA, Ernest Tubbs and Hank Williams Sr. and Willie and Waylon, and I went down to see, actually, Alabama was probably one of the first rock country bands, and I really was into them. And now more and more I interview artists, rock artists, the Mark Slaughters of the world, or Tom Peterson and Chief. Everybody lives in Nashville, so what used to be Country Music USA is certainly Music City USA without it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now it's just Music City, period. There's so much music going on here, and so many different styles. You can find. I go around where all the studios are, and I'll go out and get some lunch or something. I'll run into Tommy Shaw, and I'll run into guys from Metallica. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And of course you got Jack White and the Nashville thing going on, and then Kev Moe and blues. I mean, it's just really all over the place. And no matter who it is, the music is always. People care more about the music than they do about the style.
Absolutely. I said to Mark Slaughter, I said, can you go like Christmas shopping? And he's like, yeah, I put a baseball cap on. People aren't looking for me. They're looking for like Tim McGraw or Keith Urban. John, have you ever had a chance to record in like Muscle Shoals or Memphis?
I've recorded in Memphis, but not Muscle Shoals. I've been down to Muscle Shoals. I just haven't gotten around to doing anything down there yet. But it's not far away. It's only about an hour and 45-minute drive. So
yeah, I would think that might be on your bucket list to get in there and play maybe with the old Swamp Rats, the Schooner Odoms, and all those guys. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, the Swampers, that's right.
Hey, you mentioned before about your solo recording starting like late in the 2000s, and it brought my interest. I think of talk about Hall & Oates a little bit. Daryl, I want to say maybe between Voices and Private Eyes, that Daryl maybe kicked into launched his little solo thing, 80, 86, 85, and I was wondering, is this what held you back of all these influences and your love and style for Americana folk and all of it? Was that what kind of like, I don't know if I want to go to the label, they might laugh at me, or go, no, we want you to stay more of the Hall & Oates pop trend? Why so late in your time with your solo material?
If you look back, Daryl made solo albums in the 70s.
Okay.
He started doing it, but he's more prolific than me in terms of writing. So he had other things he wanted to do. He loved being in England. He wanted to record in England. So he had those things he wanted to do. By the time we were touring so much, and I wasn't really that much motivated to do any more than I was already doing. But then in the 90s. He and I kind of slowed down a lot, and that's when I started looking, at myself and saying, maybe I should start recording some things. And it kind of coincided with going to Nashville, and then I realized that my sweet spot would be the music that I made prior to to working with Daryl, and that's where I could kind of tap into kind of the real kind of deep DNA of who I am as a musician.
And as a musician, it goes without saying, the more you write and perform and record and expand upon your credibility, your creativity, I should say, it really elevates your overall game, I'll say. So when you reunite with Daryl on a tour, or maybe even consider creating a new album, it's only made you even better than ever.
Well, sure. I mean, anything that you do is always going to enhance what we do together. Whether it's with something, like his Live from Daryl's House show and whatever he's doing, the work that I'm doing here in Nashville. I mean, it really doesn't, it's all about music, and it doesn't matter what the style is. It's, we can always, bring our experiences back together and enhance what we do together as well.
Life seems good for John Oates these days. I'm following you on social media. You're a natural in making these videos, whether you're just playing a track, reflecting on a moment or a specific birthday or a day, you're cooking, your love for cars, you're gardening, I mean, you're writing songs. I mean, I go, man, he's living his dream without a doubt. He's a happy guy.
Yeah, things. I mean, I'm very blessed and I'm very fortunate. I don't take it for granted. You know, I know how it can be. You know, things can go away from you. You know, in a heartbeat. So that's no pun intended. But so yeah, I mean, you know, I try to live every day and enjoy it. And I love music and I love being able to reach people, especially through the internet now. It's a whole new world. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to some artists, and they're like, no, that's not me. I'm not a video guy. I'm not a Facebook guy. But then others are like, boom, right on it. Hey, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing this on Sundays and Saturdays, and it's all good. I mean, there's no better way of getting out to the audience, especially when we've been locked down. And I'm a guy looking for new music, so I've been itching and having a great time because a lot of artists like yourself have been releasing new music, and I think that's what the fans are looking for.
Yeah.
John,
well,
go ahead.
That's true. I mean, you know, this lockdown thing is really, that kind of is what really inspired me to get more active on the social media side.
Well, I thank you for that. John, I'm not a big fan of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for many reasons, but I'm going to not go there. But however, congratulations on you and Daryl getting in. But I would think to be inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame has got to be a very outstanding personal achievement. So, as well as headliner for Live Aid in '85, where it was actually in Philly, where you guys were, I'm sure those are, without saying, are probably maybe two of your biggest highlights of your career. Would you agree?
I would agree. I certainly would agree. You know, people always, you know, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame always seems to dominate people's, attention. But the reality is, you know, if we didn't write the songs we wrote, we wouldn't be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So, you know, there you go.
Yeah, I'm the whole process, the voting, the politics.
Yeah,
I mean,
you don't need to go into that.
Yeah, no. I don't even want to touch upon it. But I mean, I think when I mention it, a lot of artists goes, well, it's more for the fans, I believe. But it means something, so I got to throw it out there. I see Hall Oates has announced dates for the 2021 tour dates, which I think you guys were really starting this year, right?
No, it's hey, listen, we would have been in the middle of a 40-city tour right now, as we speak. And, you know, it didn't work out that way. We played Madison Square Garden and sold it out and had the most, it was really the kickoff to the tour. We thought this was, hey, what an amazing tour this is going to be. And the rug was pulled out from under all of us. So, you know, that being said, you know, we're dealing with what we're dealing with, just like everyone is. And we're looking toward the future. We put those dates out there on hold, and we'll see. And if next year, in fact, exactly a year from now, almost to the day, we hopefully will be on tour again. And if we're not, then so be it. You know, we'll do something else.
Well, the fans like myself, big fans of Hall & Oates and of you, John, we can't wait to, I'm looking at like my last show I was at, maybe at Daryl's place, or my last concert was with Roger Hodgkins of Supertramp, and I want to say in Richfield Playhouse in like February, and I'm like, man, are we ever gonna? Well, let me ask you, John, your first thoughts on getting on stage, even with Daryl or your band, in front of a live audience, going, man, it's got to be emotional.
Yeah, it's going to be an unbelievable experience for everybody, for the audience, for the band, for us. Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, I'm going to play a show on September 26th here in Nashville at a club, and it's going to be live streamed on Nugs TV. But there won't be an audience. But it will be in a venue, and the Good Road Band, same band that played on Arkansas and the live album, we're gonna broadcast a live show.
Excellent.
So that'll be the first time I'm playing with a band in a long, long time.
Any thoughts about doing some of these drive-in theaters? I see like Brad Paisley's done a few.
Yeah, that's not my thing.
Yeah, that's not my. I don't know. I don't know. I want to go because I want to go, but I don't.
Right.
I don't feel it. I don't have that wow factor of seeing a band. And I'm sure, like you're on stage, it's the energy from the audience. What are you going to do? People going to hit the horn or something? I don't know. That just.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You know, it's and especially the music that I'm making with the Good Road Band. It's very much of a. It's listening music, you know. So I don't know. It just doesn't seem to be that. That's not my sweet spot anyway.
any talk with Daryl on maybe creating a new album? I don't think that.
Yeah, well, there was more than talk. We actually were intending to do it.
Really?
Oh, yeah. In fact, in January, actually in February, we started talking about it and getting ideas. I sent him some song ideas. He sent me some song ideas. We were batting some ideas around, and then, of course, everything stopped. So we felt like we'd do better by actually, being in the same room and working together. So it really did. We didn't take it any further. So it's on hold. Who knows? Hopefully we can get back to it.
Wow, that would be cool. I saw an interview a couple of years ago with him, and he just said he doesn't want to collaborate with anybody anymore. He's just doing his thing, which, hey, I get it. You've been doing it for 40-something years. I mean, do you have to do it? No. But I think that's what musicians do. They still write and create. So, I don't know.
I'm working all the time. I'm working on a movie right now. I produced 3 songs and co-wrote 3 songs for a new movie that's coming out, and it's really cool. It's called Gringa. It's about a young girl who tries to go to Mexico and find her father, and collaborated with a hip hop artist on one, with a young female Mexican singer on another one. It's a very cool project. So yeah, I'm staying very busy.
Good for you. How did you make out with your fundraiser Saturday night? I know you were doing a fundraiser. I caught that.
Yeah, I mean, it was okay. I did it from Colorado because I was out there. I just got back here last night. I can't tell you how successful it was. All I know is that I participated and did my best, and hopefully people liked it and would love to donate. For Music Cares.
Absolutely, a great thing that you're doing out there. Well, the album John Oates and the Good Road Band live in Nashville, officially out on September 18th, available on all digital platforms where you purchase your music, and I ask that you please buy and not just download for free. Check out John's memoir, Change of Seasons. I definitely got to do that, John. I definitely want to read up on that. All info on John on his website, johnoates.com, and you can follow John like I do on social media. He loves doing the videos, and you see what he's up to down in Nashville or Colorado. John, I had a blast. I hope you enjoyed the conversation as much as I have.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. I appreciate your support and spreading the word on this live album. Hey, listen, if there's no live shows, maybe this live album will be a substitute, at least for temporarily.
Hey, yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it and looking forward to getting it on my playlist and play a few tracks and throw in a little Arkansas while I'm at it there. So it's all good.
Okay, cool.
Best of success always, John. Hope to meet you on the road or maybe locally here at Daryl's venue in Pauling.
All right, you got it.